Thank you, Ken. Before we start, let me first acknowledge the Ngunnawal people and their elders past and present. The Ngunnawal people have lived and worried about energy here in the Canberra region for millennia. And as we meet here today, we acknowledge what they have done in this part of the world for decades, centuries, and millennia before us. So, something that I am passionate about is this area of energy. And the reason I am is because it is going to be so important for the next century of humanity. Science and technology have transformed humanity. I think we forget a century ago, the average lifespan for a human on Earth was 30 years, the same as it was 100,000 years ago. And that has completely changed over the last 100 years. And that single change is transforming the way humanity is interacting with Earth. We have had exponential growth in human population. We are 7.3 billion, soon to be 8 billion, probably 9, possibly 10. And things could go to 12, 13, someplace it won't go any higher. And as we have grown and we have become more affluent, we have consumed resources, energy being the key resource that allows prosperity today. And changing that equation so that we do not continue to exponentially grow our energy consumption, at least of the non-renewable kind, is going to be a key way for society to make progress over the next 100 years. If we do not get this right, bad things are going to happen. If I had to identify one single thing that humanity needs to sort out, it's this: figuring out how to have energy for the entire world. Climate change is one aspect of this, the most visible aspect. We are burning fossil fuels, we are raising the CO2 content of the atmosphere to historic highs, not the highest in the history of the Earth, but the highest in the recent history of the Earth. We believe that this is going to drive climate change, and if we're very, very good and we can decarbonize such that we release less than 1,000 gigatons of CO2 in the atmosphere over the next 30 years, that is, we literally go to zero emissions in that blue target, then we might have a 2/3 chance, knowing that the modeling is actually quite uncertain, of restricting climate change to less than 2 degrees Celsius. We've already up almost this year to 1 degree over backgrounds. And as a vigneron here in the local district, I'm trying to figure out how to make sure I'm going to have enough water come March that I actually have a grape crop and rather than a raisin crop. Of course, people often say, well, 2 degrees isn't very much. And they're right, 2 degrees is not a much. But that's if we bust our butts and sort the energy crisis out. And it is an energy crisis. It's a crisis of how we're going to generate energy in the future. If we don't, business as usual, we're looking at 3, 4, 5 degrees. And while that probably will not be catastrophic for the people in this room, it will be catastrophic for our children and especially our grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. And so we owe it to the future generations of humanity to start thinking about this today. There is a lot of energy available to us. When we look at the total reserves on the right, so this is the entire reserves held in the Earth in terms of terawatt hours, not necessarily a SI unit of energy, but one we use anyway. You can see that coal, things like coal, hold a lot of energy. We're consuming 16 terawatts of energy right now, and so if we were to entirely put it into coal, you can take 900 and divide by 16 and get an estimate of the total reserves of coal. But every year we have 23,000 terawatts, or 23 petawatt hours of solar raining down on Earth. Probably will not completely pave the Earth in solar energy cells, although one could envision doing it into the future somehow. But we have actually a lot of resources there in the renewable side which we can play with to meet the world's energy. The hard part is making it effective, affordable, and making sure we have that energy available night and day, 24/7, 365 days a year, everywhere in the world. So that is the supreme challenge that we're facing. Now, here at the ANU, we have developed about 5 years ago the Energy Change Institute, so it's its 5th year. And the Energy Change Institute is all about what universities are meant to do. They're meant to take knowledge, they're meant to teach people, they're meant to learn stuff, and they're meant to work with the rest of society to take that knowledge and to disperse it. Today, the Energy Update has become the flagship event for the Energy Change Institute. You bring together researchers, policymakers, industry, members of the public. And we're aimed to provide you with the best, most up-to-date information so that we can all go about and make the best decisions for our businesses and for the nation. Here at the ANU, we are committed to leading research and teaching and finding real and practical solutions to a sustainable and renewable energy future. Across the world, we always see that the best research actually provides the best translation. And that's one of the focuses for me next year when I take the helm here at ANU, is making sure that we get societal outcomes from the great research we do. And it's something I'm actually really excited about. I don't think it's going to be hard, I think it's going to be fun. ANU here in Canberra has a unique relationship with the Australian government, and we make sure that we play a leading role in providing expert policy advice to the members of government here. And since its inception here, the ANU Energy Change Institute has been deeply involved with this public service that's all around us, whose our children go to school with, so we get to talk to them at soccer games and things like that. I think the first time I ever heard about this was with Ken at a soccer game with our kids were both at. And so we regularly want to provide briefings, seminars, information to help formulate and shape policy. I think if there are things you think we should be doing, talk to us. We're wanting to be, in the words of the current government, agile. Right? So we're here to listen. We also provide advice to business and industry, something that is a very big focus of the current government, and the opposition. One of the unique things is innovation has suddenly become a word we can use, and both sides and all sides of politics, not just both, all sides of politics are talking about it. And that's an exciting time to be at a university which, of course, is at the center of technology research and innovation. Anyway, our goal will be to move the research and innovations from the classrooms, from our laboratories, to the real world. So the Energy Change Institute at the ANU takes a multidisciplinary approach. It's not just physicists or chemists or engineers. It's really got to take these technical disciplines and intersperse it with the economic and social science disciplines. Because it's one thing to come up with a solution. The hard part we're going to have is actually getting it out and adopted and making it fit for purpose for society. Not just for Australia, but for Africa, for Southeast Asia. That is the grand challenge. And the great news is having an institution that is both strong on all of those aspects of research gives us a unique ability to contribute. So, the annual Energy Update is an important forum for the exchange of ideas, and I'm encouraging you all, when you have things to say, get out, don't be shy, and start talking about this. This is the most important thing, as I've said, that I think we can be talking about over the coming decade. And so we'll be putting you up to date with the trends in energy innovation and developments, and it's for you to think about how that interacts with the sector of society you're here representing. Today we're going to hear about the latest energy trends from Ian Crenshaw, who is joining us from Paris. I would have thought someone in your thing would have wanted to be in Paris, but he says, well, you know, there's a bunch of 45,000 bureaucrats is maybe not the easiest and greatest people. Those are my words, not his. Byron Washam is coming from San Diego to talk about microgrids. This is a really interesting, exciting thing, and we're having to think about the technology they're using there in California here at the ANU. Not just to be innovative, but to actually make our energy costs affordable over the next few years. We have a real issue that our campus has sort of reached the maximum amount of electricity it can extract from the grid in its current configuration. And how are we going to move forward as cheaply as possible? Are we just going to do it old school and put another huge copper line in? Or are we going to do something more clever that's going to make more sense for the next 30 or 50 years? My hope is we do the second thing. So ANU is becoming, hopefully, a sustainable university, and we're doing this not just to make a statement, we're doing it for our bottom line. We want to be efficient, we want to be self-sufficient, so that we can make sure that, for example, our biological collections that need 85 degrees Celsius, minus 85 degrees Celsius fridges, without interruption, are not interrupted by our electricity supply. And in doing this work, we have key partnerships with other universities. It's a national university. The other universities are not our competitors, they're our colleagues, and we will thrive together. We have CSIRO right across the road, which we're continually reevaluating, and we're going to be forming some very interesting strategic partnerships over the coming years, as we have over the last few. And of course, we work with other national organizations such as defense and NGOs. Pretty much anyone interested in this sector are people we want to work with. So Ken alluded to the My Now Declaration. Every year in Lindau, there's an event where Nobel Prize winners get together and meet students and young researchers. So Ken was there a long, long time ago. I've been there the last 3 years as a Nobel Prize winner. And we decided this year that things were sufficiently important to move on how we're going to deal with climate change in the future, that it was worth us discussing this at the Lindau conference and making a declaration on the island of My Now. This is only the second time this has been done. The previous time was in 1955 around the prospects of nuclear war. And the reason we did this is an insidious problem. It doesn't destroy you in 15 minutes, but it has the prospects of reaping the same level of destruction if we do not deal with it over a 100-year period for humanity. And so in that case, we felt it was important to say something. And the document is here, and essentially does not say, we're all Nobel Prize winners, we're the experts of the world, listen to us. What we say is we are practitioners of science. And science is humanity's vehicle for making predictions based on evidence. And the practitioners of climate have gone through a very long, elaborate process. While not perfect, is the best information we have in informing what we should be doing and the consequences around emitting CO2 into the atmosphere. And so this should be taken seriously because the implications of that research are quite profound. Still uncertain, but the chance of having, with business as usual, a 5, 6, 7, 8 degree change to the Earth's climate are real. And we don't really know what and how humanity would adapt once you go above 5 degrees. At that point, people quit looking at the thinking about it too much, because it's such a big shock to business as usual. So last year, or earlier this year, I guess, and I'm going to see if this works. Maybe not. Oh, well, let's not worry about it. We signed this, this document. There were 36 signatures on Lindau. It's kind of hard to get everyone there at the end. It's been joined by another 36 signatures, so there's now 72 Nobel Prize winners. I believe this document, don't completely quote me because I haven't quite been able to figure it out, but I believe this is the most Nobel science signatures on a declaration of all time. It will be presented this afternoon, Paris time, by two of the signees, Serge Hiroche and Claude Cohen-Tanuji, to Francois Hollande as part of the COP meeting. And so we hope it will help solidify the arrangements that are happening in Paris so that we get a sensible start to what is going to be a century-long endeavor. Here at the ANU, we're part of that endeavor. Universities here are to educate the future generations, and we take that very seriously at the ANU. Our goal is to provide an education for our students second to no place on the planet. Not just good, but great. We aim to do that by putting our students in close contact with some of the world's greatest researchers, some of whom you will see around here today. And then we aim to take those students and those researchers and intermix them, and this is something that is a project in process, mix them with other elements of society, with government, like we're doing today, with business, and with other elements of society such as NGOs. That is going to be my grand challenge over the next 5 years, and this meeting is one small part of that challenge, but a very important part. And I look forward to being part of the proceedings both today and tomorrow as part of the Energy Change Institute activities, and I look forward to hearing about microgrids and seeing how we might look at using them here at the ANU. Thank you very much.